Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. This is amazing to me. I saw this. I put it on my Facebook page because I am slightly blown away. This is a Washington Post. Democracy dies in the darkness. That's their tagline. Yeah, I always say democracy dies on the pages of the Washington Post. It's the failure is all in the open. The problem is people read that failure and believe that narrative is the way the world is. Let me see if I can flip this over so you can see it. Yes, the Clintons should be investigated. Mark Thiessen. Wow. Sink that in for a moment. It's the Washington Post. This is not some ragtag outlet, that nobody pays attention to except for a small following. This is the Washington Post. Yes, the Clintons should be investigated. President Trump's critics argue that the GOP's calls for the Justice Department to investigate Hillary Clinton and Democrats' ties to Russia are an effort to distract from the real Russian investigation into potential Trump-Russia collusion. No, they're not. I like the way he put that in. No, they're not. I am probably making this author out to be far too epic. And I may be finding too much epicness in just the way he wrote that. No, they're not. This defiant, resolute whisper. No, they're not. I think I'm putting too much into it. I have this image in my head of Rorschach. Do you remember? I'm sorry, this is a tangent. On The Watchmen and the movie, Watchmen the movie, and Rorschach is, after the comedian is killed, thrown out of a window, and Rorschach is walking through the streets and he's having this kind of rant to himself about, it's like all these smooth talking politicians and all of these Ivory Leaguers and all this other stuff. He's just ranting and raving about this, but he's saying it in this immensely epic way. And he goes into this thing about everybody of the world being into a cesspool and all of these people are screaming for help. And with a whisper, he'll say, no. I love that line. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie. That's the way I see this. It's this kind of epic. No, they're not. No, they're not. All right, let's keep going. I'm sorry. I've gone too far off the rails. I do like the way he put that, though. He's making this point like, you guys are trying to say that any investigation is somewhat of an obfuscation from the Russia investigation. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not an obfuscation. It's a thing unto itself. Ever since Watergate, the mantra of all major corruption investigations has been to follow the money. Well, Americans of all political stripes should be outraged by the fact that both Democrats and Republicans in Washington are up to their eyeballs in Kremlin cash. Russian money found its way into the pockets of not only Trump advisors like Paul Manafort and Rick Gates, who were recently indicted by special counsel Robert Mueller, but also Democratic power lobbyists Tony Podesta, Bill Clinton, and the Clinton Foundation. This suggests to objective observers that Russia was using money to influence both sides in order to advance the Kremlin's interests. And it means that any full and impartial investigation into Russia's efforts to influence our political process needs to follow the Russian money flowing into the coffers of the Clintons, their foundation, and their top associates. The New York Times reported in 2015 that shortly after the Russians announced their intention to acquire a majority stake in Uranium One, Bill Clinton, former President Bill Clinton, received $500,000 for a Moscow speech from a Russian investment bank with links to the Kremlin that was promoting Uranium One stock. In total, $145 million went to the Clinton Foundation from interests linked to Uranium One, which was acquired by the Russian government's nuclear agency, Rostom. Think that was a coincidence? This guy's making the exact same argument that I made. Do you believe that this money flowing into these people's pockets is a coincidence? It's a goddamn bribe. Think that was a coincidence? As former federal prosecutor Andy McCarthy points out, the Uranium One deal is not a national security scandal. It is a corruption scandal involving Clinton family self-dealing. Ask yourself, How many $500,000 speeches has Bill Clinton given to the Kremlin-linked banks since Hillary Clinton was defeated? How much Russian money is flowing into the Clinton Foundation coffers today? If Donald Trump had given $500,000 speech paid for by the Kremlin Bank and his private foundation accepted $145 million from Vladimir Putin's linked oligarchs and the Western business partners, do you think that his critics would be insisting that there was nothing to see here? I love that argument. I love that argument. It's like if the roles were reversed and Donald Trump was getting all of this money, if he got $145 million, not to mention a $500,000 speech, do you believe that the critics would say there's nothing to see here? No, he got that money. Everything was above board. No, those people would be howling. Those people would be howling. I've seen Anna flip out over this. Oh, the Young Turks. So I think it was Gardner. He was like, the Young Turks are flipping out over this stuff. And yeah, she flipped out. Do you remember Jesse Jackson coming up giving a speech saying, hey, don't lock up Hillary Clinton. You can't lock up Hillary Clinton. Please don't lock up Hillary Clinton. It was an amazing speech. Yeah, it's an amazing speech. I love this guy's argument. This is the argument that I made. So yes, I love the guy's argument. Then there's Tony Podesta. It is now front page news that Tony Podesta has been forced to step down from his soon-to-be defunct lobbying firm, the Podesta Group, after being ensnared in the same scandal that led to the indictment of Trump campaign aides Manafort and Gates. The Podesta Group failed to register as a foreign agent for Russian interests while lobbying on behalf of the European Center for Modern Ukraine, a front group that Mueller's indictment says was under the ultimate direction of Ukraine's Putin-backed president and his political party. We should all be deeply concerned by how much Russian cash was slothing around Washington and how much of it found its way into bank accounts of Clintons and those around them. And we should all, Democrats and Republicans alike, want to get to the bottom of it. As Americans, it goes against our sensibilities to encourage the Justice Department of one party to investigate a vanquished candidate of another party. Agreed, I've made this case too. But does the fact that Clinton lost means Americans don't deserve to know the full extent of Russians' efforts to influence our political process? I love this man's argument. None of the above absolves Trump's campaign or calls into question the intelligence community's conclusions that Putin and Russian government aspire to help Trump election chances. But it does underscore that the Russian investigations, or that the Russians were smart in what the intelligence community calls their efforts to undermine public faith in the U.S. democratic process. They played both sides, and in so doing preyed on a singular weakness of the Clintons and those around them. Greed. I would imagine with Bill Clinton, it would have been something else on two legs. But yeah, greed too. Stuff money in his G-string. Bill Clinton will do favors. Any impartial investigation of Russians' efforts to meddle in our democratic process needs to include a full inquiry into Russian money flowing into the Clintons' world. Such an inquiry is not a distraction. It is a critical restoring public faith in American democracy. I agree with him. I agree with this entire document. I couldn't agree more. I've made this argument on both sides. I've kind of made this point that I am disturbed by this thing of one of the party members going after Hillary Clinton. But then the more I thought about it, it was like, but does that, being disturbed by it, does that mean that the justice process, like, if me or one of my friends is caught with a bag of pot, I'm going to jail. Now, this goes into this thing of these people being bribed with having Russian cash. I'm going to $45 million. Bill Clinton getting a $500 speech. And the mantra is, there's nothing to see here. There's nothing at all to see here. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain giving us $145 million. No need to look here. The WikiLeaks document by themselves, before anything about the Russia stuff, WikiLeaks by themselves haven't shown the Clintons this pay-for-play politics thing. So, yeah, they should be investigated. This guy's right. I'm just shocked to see it on the pages of the Washington Post. That's all. And if the Washington Post is coming out like this, oh, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. It's not just us. It's not just us. That's my point. I'll put the article at the bottom. Alright, guys. If you enjoy the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, this Patreon. Thanks, everybody.